Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Eshan Chordia. Eshan is the co-founder at Lumino AI. Eshan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here, JP.
Yeah, and we're excited to have you. So let's start with yourself, please, Eshan, as we do with all of our guests. Could you give us an overview of your background in technology, from where you got started, some of the roles you've held along the way, and what's led you to where you are today as one of the co-founders at Lumino AI?
My intro into tech started, as for many millennials, through culture and video games when I was a kid. So I remember, I think it was in the mid-90s, I got Super Mario for the Nintendo 64 as like the first video game my parents got for me. My parents were super into games. I think my mom got like the original Game Boy, not the Game Boy Color, but the Game Boy with Tetris. I was always like, oh, it would be super cool to play games. And then as I got older, it was like, oh, it would be super cool to build games. And then in middle school and high school, I got into building computers and using different operating systems, installing different operating systems like Linux and different distributions of Linux, playing around with those things. And then I got into coding in my junior and senior year of high school. Based on that, like just for my love of computers, I ended up at Carnegie Mellon University studying electrical and computer engineering and cognitive science. But it's crazy because I didn't really know much about tech and what was happening in the tech world around 2009, right after the great financial crisis. And so I was just like, oh, I love computers, so I'm going to go study computers in college. But then I got to college and I took Intro to ECE, which is one of the hardest courses at CMU. And I was like, oh, maybe I should check out other majors. So I looked at economics, computational finance, computer science, human-computer interaction, design. And then while I was taking all these different courses, I kept taking my ECE coursework and ended up graduating with a degree in electrical and computer engineering and cognitive science. And then I came out here. So it was always one of my dreams to move out to California. I had actually interned at Qualcomm and at Yahoo when I was in college. I got a chance to live in San Diego and I got a chance to live in the Bay Area. And so I was like, okay, I got to do that. I want to move to California. That's where tech is happening. And so I got a job at a startup as a software engineer and worked as a software engineer and a UI UX designer for a while. And then I think it was in 2017, I started a consumer company that made it easy for people to find healthy food at restaurants. You can imagine at that time, I was in my early to mid 20s. I ate out a lot and I'm vegetarian. So I was like, how do I find healthy food that's vegetarian at restaurants? And obviously salad is healthy and like French fries and pizza is unhealthy, but what's in between? How do I make sure I get enough protein? So I really wanted to build an app for myself and my friends. And so that's how it got started. And so we started Nutri, which allowed you to look at restaurants and find dishes that fit your nutrition profile based on any allergies you had, any diet following like keto, paleo, etc. And then if you wanted to eat like high protein, low sodium, low fat, etc. Did that for a year and a half. We grew the customer base to 5,000 monthly active users, but we really didn't see much more growth than that. So after just over a year and a half, I decided to shut that down. And a lot of super cool learnings, but always sad to have to shut down your own startup. After that, I actually spent 3 years in AI. So I joined this amazing company called Zesty AI. And we built the world's most advanced wildfire risk model. So we could actually tell you the probability of your house being destroyed by wildfire. And the company's doing great today. And I also built a very cool property analytics product using computer vision. So we could basically take satellite imagery and low-flying aircraft imagery and just using computer vision tell you over 50 details about your property. Imagine, do you have a good roof? Do you have solar panels? What is the square foot of the solar panels? Do you have a swimming pool? Do you have property debris in your backyard? And the square foot of your home and lots of other attributes of your property. So all of those things were built using AI models. And then I got the cool chance to work at a really good company called Protocol Labs, which is like the leader in building decentralized software infrastructure. And so they've built Filecoin, which is a decentralized storage network, and they've built P2P, which is a decentralized networking library used by Ethereum and other decentralized protocols. And they built IPFS, which is what Filecoin is built on. It does the actual content addressing of the data that's being stored in a decentralized manner. And so I was there for just under a year and learned so much building decentralized software. Like any funny stories, they did a 25% layoff and I got caught up in the layoffs. And so then I was like, I was ready to start a company anyway. So I was like, this is a good time to start a company. And this is March of 2023. Took a month off, explored a lot of different companies. And then, yeah, Yogesh and I decided to start Lumino. And here we are a year and a half later after starting the company. And it's just been a blast.
I love it. Thank you so much for the overview. I think your background is important context because it feeds into your experiences in successful startups in the past and learning what you learned within the AI space. So moving on, tell us all about Lumino AI, who you are, what you do, mission of the business.
We are an open source AI R&D lab. But I think when most people think about AI, they think about the models, right? They think about Llama and GPT. And what we really think about AI is like, what is the AI doing? And what does the end-to-end system look like? What does the user put into the AI? How does the system process it? And then what is the output? I think on a technical level, obviously people really care about how the model works. But at a larger level, people really care about how the system works. Our mission is basically to make it super easy for anyone in the world to build and use AI. And we do this by building open source infrastructure for AI to basically make it more open, efficient, and accessible infrastructure so that anyone in the world can basically build and use AI. It should not be gate kept to people who have money or people who have compute. And so that's our mission here at Lumino. What that means in practicality is the first product we've built is a foundational model or an LLM fine-tuning SDK and UI. For all the listeners out there, or for you guys, if you've ever used OpenAI's SDK to build an app, fine-tune a model, do inference, upload data, or their UI, the user experience is very similar. Now, as part of the mission, what we do is we're big believers in decentralized AI. And to make it clear, what we say when we talk about decentralizing, we talk about who are the providers of the compute, the actual hardware on the platform, right? And the reason we really do this is because by working with data centers directly, sourcing GPUs directly from the data centers, we're able to cut the cost of compute by almost 80%. And this is super important because I'm sure you've read all of these stories, and I've personally lived a lot of these, spoken to students about this. Compute is super expensive, especially when we start talking about the higher end NVIDIA GPUs needed to fine-tune, train, or do inference for the big generative AI models. And so our belief is that instead of being gate kept and giving more power to big tech by only allowing them access to the H100s and the H200s, and when the B200s come out, everyone in the world should be able to access these so that companies are able to build the best in class models. And so that's our mission and the implementation of the mission and how we're going forth with it.
It makes a whole lot of sense if you can bring high level compute power to SMEs and other industries who don't quite have the budget to spend, and you're offering savings up to 80% cheaper. That will obviously resonate. Are there any recent customer journeys or customer wins that you could share with us which would demonstrate giving true Lumino, giving access to this large scale computing, and what has been the end result for some of the customers? Any recent wins that you could share which would showcase bringing this type of technology to all market segments?
Yeah, so some conversations I've personally had just in the last 6 weeks, I can name off a couple. So one interesting is a research lab at a university that I cannot name, but the researchers are doing some very cool work around different types of fine-tuning open source generative AI models and how it can be applied in different fields like health and diagnostics, like medicine diagnostics, and in areas of that. And one thing that we learned from talking to them was that, hey, they get these grants. And those grants, that's all the money they'll ever get to do that project. And if they run out of money, they have to go figure out how to get more money. So the researchers there are super conscious about spending very little money on compute or as little money in every single part that they can and cobbling free and open source software together so that they're able to do the research that's required to make breakthroughs without breaking their budget. One of the cool things about being 80% cheaper is that because they don't have access to GCP or AWS because of the cost of compute, they're actually in the process of figuring out how to integrate our LLM fine-tuning SDK into their tech stack so that they're able to lower their cost of compute. A place that we've seen work really well is like academia. Students at different universities, there's all these machine learning majors, AI majors, right? To be able to do these machine learning majors and AI majors, they actually need to get access to compute, to build models, to do inference, to run experiments, and to be able to submit their coursework. And the department heads of these universities, let's say the Department of Computer Science, is charged with getting credits from different places so that the students are able to complete their coursework. We're finding great success in working with that group of people who are really cost conscious. Now, the second group of people that we find great success with is like tech companies. So it's interesting because normally people would be like, hey, tech companies, you have the software engineers, you have the people to build your machine learning infrastructure. But what's happened in the last 2 years is that machine learning models have gone from a side thing inside the app that maybe would predict risk before or give a recommendation to the main thing that is generating revenue. Like the generative AI models are the things that are doing the work for the customer that is super useful, and that's what the customer is paying for. So being able to not have to worry about setting up machine learning infrastructure, using our platform and being able to fine-tune and deploy models in minutes cuts down literally weeks or months of time that it would take to set up all this machine learning infrastructure, do the data pre-processing and cleaning, fine-tune the models, run the experiments, deploy them into a production server, and then release it into your own application. And so these two different customer cohorts are places where we are seeing like the most success with our product.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the team that you have assembled, the group that you're working with right now, and how the evolution of the idea from concept to current build has evolved at Lumino? Obviously, there's yourself and your other co-founder, but there's more people involved to build the platform. Give us some insight into what the current makeup of the team is today, from the size, the various positions that exist, and what was the journey to get you guys to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love our team. Our team is amazing. We're 6 people. And I think it really speaks to the fact that we've been able to ship multiple products in such a short amount of time. That speaks to how good the team is. Yogesh and I are the founders of the company. We have 3 other engineers on the team who are all early stage great engineers, and 1 senior crypto economist on the team who actually just joined this week. And so our team is comprised of we honestly just get really good generalist software engineers who are able to learn quickly, have worked in multiple domains. So picking up a new domain is a skill that they've built up. We really value people who love to learn and have the ability to learn, join the team. Where obviously everyone has their own specialties. Our first engineer is someone that I worked with at Zesty AI for 3 years. Phenomenal engineer. Our second person is a blockchain engineer who is also a fellow at the Ethereum Foundation. And then our third engineer is a very good engineer who has both worked in AI and in blockchain systems. And it's just amazing to see these people pick up a problem that has never been solved before, right? What we're building has never been done before. And the team just picks up a problem. They start thinking about the problem from the ground up, right? The very basic layer, and start building the minimum product that we need to be able to experiment that the product works and then ship that product. And being able to build this LLM fine-tuning SDK that allows you to take Llama 3.1 and fine-tune it without anyone on the team having machine learning, being a machine learning engineer, and then being able to build our beta version of our decentralized protocol it's been amazing to watch the team just grow in ways that I never would have imagined.
Staying on the topic of growth, because I want to segue into part 3 of the interview, which is the road ahead, near-term road ahead in particular. When you look at the next 12 to 18 months for Lumino, what are you hoping to accomplish? What are you excited about? And where do you see the business being a year from today?
So I think the first thing to remember is like the vision of the company is to build this amazing open source AI infrastructure so that all of these great companies that are building AI apps and AI agents are able to use our product and build these agents and apps super fast in a way without having to grow their machine learning team to really large teams and being able to get access to the high-end compute infrastructure at low cost. So when we think about this is what we're trying to solve for our customers, we start thinking about how do we do this? There are multiple ways that we can do this over the next year. One is we already work with data centers directly to source the compute, and we're able to cut the raw hardware cost by 80%. But really what we're trying to do here is build the best training and inference pipelines the world has ever seen. When we make training more efficient, we make it takes less time to train a model with losing performance. We're able to increase the tokens per second. We're able to decrease latency. When we're able to do these things, we make it easier, faster, and cheaper for our customers. And that is the thing, that's the innovation that's happening behind the scenes. So over the next year, we want to launch our inference product. So right now we have a fine-tuning product. We're going to launch our inference product. But we're also going to launch a decentralized system that is able to do training and inference at scale in a super low latency environment connected to all these data centers so that you have the best hardware, you have the lowest latency, you have the fastest time to train, and you have the cheapest cost. And you as a customer, you can do this all with a few lines of code that takes you 10 minutes or less to set up. That is what we're trying to achieve here.
And obviously, with that continued growth and building out new functionality, that's going to lead to the need for more talent within Lumino. When you're looking at the growth roadmap and assuming you guys can continue to bring in more customers who will benefit from what you're offering, how is that going to impact the headcount side of the business? Where do you anticipate needing future growth, and what type of positions do you anticipate wanting to fill in the year 2025?
Right now, the team is mostly technical. And so we still need our product is a technical product, and we are an open source AI lab. And so the most important talent that we're looking for are the best machine learning engineers, AI compiler engineers, AI infrastructure engineers, right? These are the people that we're really trying to bring in because we really believe that the combination of the best talent and open source products is going to be the winning edge in the market. So this is one side of the coin of the people that we're trying to hire is the best technical talent in AI. The second side to it is, look, in reality, you need to be able to sell your product. You need to be able to make people aware of your product, right? And then you need supporting functions within the company to make building, selling, and building awareness happen. Specifically, as we get more customers, we will add people to our go-to-market team. We will add product marketing. We will add content marketing and community management on the marketing side, right? To grow the team, we will need to potentially add a recruiting partner or a recruiter to the team. And then as we get more customers are all over the world, obviously we need supporting functions like finance, admin, legal, and et cetera. But the core to our vision is that we are an AI company, so we need the best AI talent across different parts of the AI stack.
Mm-hmm. Which brings me nicely onto my final question, so I'm glad we're finishing here. When speaking to AI talent, particularly the top-end people, the elite, the highly skilled people, what is it that you tell them about what you're building at Lumino AI that gets them excited enough and interested to join you guys over some of the other great companies also out there?
Great question. So I think there's always two things that are really important for people. What am I working on? What will be my projects? So their personal work, and then everything around the team and the culture. I think about myself of like when I've switched companies or companies recruiting me, what am I looking for? Obviously, it goes without saying that you need to have a business that works and should be generating revenue and things like that. But I think the main thing ends up being that people get super excited about in the AI world is, one, we're building open source, which means that their work is not behind closed doors. They don't have to worry about not being able to share it with their friends or family or on LinkedIn or social media, right? They can talk about the coolest thing that they've built because they don't have to worry. They don't have to worry about, oh, will I get in trouble with legal for sharing this piece of IP that I don't know I can share or not, right? We want people to be publishing papers, which makes it really exciting place for AI researchers to come because they know that their work will be published in papers and will be available for others to review. And then the work itself is super exciting. We're doing stuff that has literally been never done before. How do you make improvements in training pipelines? How do you make improvements in inference pipelines? How do you do this in a marketplace of data centers where you don't own the compute yourself, and that compute might go on and off at different times? So really challenging AI problems, networking problems, infrastructure problems, and all of this is going to be open sourced. And so I think these are the things that really get people excited about joining Lumino, as opposed to some of the other companies that are more closed source, are not working on, let's say, as cutting edge AI infrastructure.
Eshan, thank you so much for coming on today and talking to us. It was a pleasure to learn about your own background, your journey as a serial entrepreneur, and most importantly, learning about your latest venture with Lumino AI. It's an incredible concept, and I'm glad to hear that it's already adding value to your customers. With such a big market segment to go at, it feels like you guys could be servicing all industries. So we wish you, the team, and everyone at Lumino AI the very best of luck in the months and years ahead with your build and evolution of the product. And we look forward to having you back on the show again in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, JP, for having me. It was a great time here just talking about Lumino to you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.